So good afternoon, champions. So hoping that you are still having a great week. Welcome to our today's analysis. As you have seen in the group that I've sent a link. So on Saturday at exactly 1 p.m. We're going to have our very first Forex session where we'll just be talking about the introduction to Forex, anything related to Forex. What are the do's and the don'ts that one must know before even engaging in any kind of Forex trading? And we'll be having a session of just having a session of interacting one on one to see the experience and anything that you might want to know. So make sure that on Saturday at 1 p.m. you create time for the same. So, but with not much saying, I'd like us to just move straight to the charts. So today we'll be analyzing the NAS 100, or as most of you guys know it as the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq, as we have always known it, this is one of the indices that we have in the forex market, which are mostly buy indices. It usually moves towards the upside. That is, so when you are trading the NAS 100, out of experience, you may know that you have been making more money buying it rather than related to selling it. So let us jump into the analysis and see what the NAS 100 has for us. So looking at NAS 100 from the monthly time frame, that is, you can see that as like any other kind of commodity or pair or index traded, we have got usually the lower side and also the higher side. The trend line that you are seeing here measures the highest point that this market have touched, and the trend line that you are seeing below here, it usually gives you an outline of the lowest point that this market have touched. So generally you can see that you have got an upward trend, and when I'm talking about an upward trend, this is a move toward the upside, or you can say it is a bearish move, a move toward the upside. So you can see that we have been experiencing this moves from that is from March 2020, and until December 2021. So as the year began, we have been experiencing a lot of move toward the upside. This from January, you can see we had that downward movement, and also in February, you can see that we are still experiencing some downward movement. So you are going to be learning more as we will be going as we'll be getting to analyze the chart from more lower time frame. So looking at the monthly time frame, there's no much to say, because we can just see that this is kind of an upward movement. So let us move straight to the weekly time frame. So looking at the market from the weekly time frame, or from the weekly perspective, you can see that we have got this small pattern being created here. So you can so let me first of all, so looking at this particular market, you can see that in the midst of the market having a general bullish move, but you can still experiencing that there are some areas that the market were moving toward the downside. That is, so you can see that after touching this particular trend line below, that is the trend line that we are talking about, the lower trend line. You can see that the market took their position up to this level. Then you can see that we have been having some small consolidation in between, and this small you can see that this is a point of a point of support. And then you can see that here it is kind of behaving as a point of resistance. You can see this first touch that is here, this second touch that is here, and then now we can see that the market moved to the upside, a retest, a small retest to the downside, and then we had a breakout to the upside, and then we had a move to the downside, creating this lower level of the trend line that is here. That's why you can see this particular trend line, and then after touching this particular areas, you can see that the market moves straight to the above, touching this particular trend line that is above here, respecting. You can see that here we had our first touch, this becoming our second touch. Then after touching this particular trend line, we had a move to the downside, a move to the upside, a move to the downside, and then we have got a move to the upside, and you can see a small retest, and then we had a move, actually an actual move to the upside, creating another point of resistance in this level. So you can see that there was creation of, this was a high, but then this third high that you are seeing here became a more high than the previous high that you are seeing. And then we have always, whenever it touches this particular trend line, we always know that we are preparing ourselves to a downward movement. So you can see we had a move to this particular level that are here. So also coming to this particular point of support that we are seeing here, and then a move to the upside to this particular point of resistance that you are seeing here, a move to the downside to this level, a move to the upside to this particular level that are here, and then we have this N formation. You can see the N formation. So you can see that after the market broke to the upside, came down to this particular point of support, moved to the upside, moved to the downside to this particular point of support again. But this time round, you can see that it created a breakout to these particular high levels, touching the trend line. This particular point that you are seeing here, the market did not only touch this particular trend line that is here, but it also touched this particular trend line that is above here. And then we saw an abrupt movement towards the downside. You can see here coming to this particular point of support. So looking at the market, you see this particular point of support is significant because you can see that it previously acted as a point of resistance. So this time round becoming a point of support, a move to the downside, an M formation. You can see that complete M formation or a double triangle, creating a sign that the market were ready to move toward the downside. So they came to this particular point of support. We had a move to the upside and then further move to the downside. You can see that we are having that breakout. So this breakout that you are seeing toward the upside, it can be characterized by a retest to the upside and then further move to this particular point of support that is here. You can see this is a very strong point of support that is here based on the previous movement. So you can have another retest. So this retest can again come to these particular levels, because this previously acted as a point of support, and then you can have further movement to these particular areas. So that is what I'm seeing when it comes to the weekly time frame or the weekly perspective of the NAS 100 USD or the Nasdaq. So let us move to the daily time frame so that you can have more view on how what the market is saying. So looking at the market when so I'm going to start from this particular level here. When the market touched this particular trend line that is above here, you can see that previously we had some especially after the breakout to the upside, touching this particular trend line, coming below for a retest, coming again, creating a breakout to the upside above this particular point of resistance that is here. We had a move to this particular point of resistance. Then from there, you can see that we have been having a lot of consolidation to the upside. We had this kind of an M shape, you can see that whenever markets create a breakout, so you can see this was a clear breakout. If we were able to see this green candlestick, this was a clear breakout, but then you can see that the breakout cannot happen before a retest is made. So you can see that after creating that particular breakout, you can see that it came back for a retest to these particular levels, and it came back for a retest to this particular level because you can see that this region that you're seeing here previously acted as a point of support, but this time round it was to act as a point of resistance. So you can see when it came to this particular level, we had clear breakout to the downside to this particular level that are here. So you can see is a very strong point of support. Then we had, after a move, you can see this green candlestick that is here, move to the downside, but then a retest to this particular level before further movement to the downside. That is, this was a kind of a breakout, but then it was characterized by a retest to this particular point here. So this particular point, you can see that in the previous movement, it was a point of resistance. That's why you can see. So it came to this particular level that are here, and then we experienced further movement to the downside. So as I've said previously from the weekly time frame, is that I'm expecting that the market are going to rise to come and touch this particular level and also this particular trend line before further moving toward the downside to create other lower lows. So moving into the 1 hour time frame, so looking at the market from the hourly perspective, you can see this was the pattern that was being created, especially when it came to the creation of the breakout. That is, you can see this was the pattern that was being created. So you can see attached to this particular level, attached to this lower place here, a lot of consolidation. You can see information retraced. Then I know most of you guys expected a breakout to the downside, but then the market came to this particular point of support and then further moved to the upside. Most of us were found to be out of the plan. So after touching this particular trend line that is above here, you can see that it started creating like an upward movement. So came down, created a lower high, and then had some kind of consolidation, a breakout to the upside. But then you can see there was a change of pattern. So I know based on the pattern, we were expecting the markets to come to this particular highs that were here, but then we had a change of pattern. You can see that they started creating the market started the market started creating some movement towards the downside, that is to this particular point of support that is here. So as I've always said, you can see that this was a breakout to the downside that was being created. So whenever you see a breakout, any breakout of any kind, it must always be characterized by a retest. So when these markets were trying to have to create a breakout that is to the downside, going against the pattern that it was moving with previously, you can see after creating it, it first had to go back to a retest before moving further to the downside to this particular level that were here. Then you can see we started having lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs. So what am I expecting? Since the market have already touched this particular trend line here and they have already touched this particular trend line, so I'm expecting them to move toward the side. So I'm expecting the market to rise to these particular levels that are here. And then if the market will allow, it may raise to these particular levels. So I'm expecting the market to raise to these particular levels before further moving toward the downside to create another lower low. So that is what I'm expecting for the remaining part of the week, that is from the NAS 100. Hoping that I was able to help in one way or the other. So my prayer is only one, that may the peeps always be with you. So just keep on pushing, never give up. So just keep in mind about the class that we will be having on Saturday, that is from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So with no much